It's been a minute since I could use this thing. No, I wasn't allowed to use it because we was on a special job. No, I wasn't supposed to tell no one because Ms.Elise was working with the people in the long coats with all them shinies on their chests. We was helping them get rid of some real bad people with 3 arms and purple skin. Ms.Elise told me we were helping them because they knew about Abaddon. That mean git. We went to this place and met new people. One was from a place called Maccabeus. I think that's it. He had a metal mask that looked like his face, and he would polish it and clean it and keep it on his face all the time, even when it was really, really, really hot. Ms.Elise told me he came from a world that was really important, and lots of men like Lurch had lived and died there. And I don't know how he wears that helmet mask thing. I would be too warm, and I don't like the hot or cold. I like it when it's just right, and I don't sweat or shiver, so no, I couldn't wear that mask thing ever. Ms.Elise and them big coat men said we was looking for people who looked like the 3-arm Emprah, and they was living in this big old mine. Me and Ms.Elise and Masky went walking for days to find this fella's friends, but we never did find that 3-arm Emprah. Just a load of these big horrible bugs that clicked and squealed. I started to call them gribbles, 'cause that's what they are. My mama would tell me that if I was bad, the gribbles would get me and I wasn't having none of that. So I got to clobbering. What a fight! We was in the tunnels and caves in the dark, and sometimes there was this glowy stuff on the walls. And Ms.Elise told me off for eating so much of it, and said it would give me a bad tummy. But that never happened. Ms.Elise told me that we was in the mines for 3 standout weeks. When we got to the bottom, there were all these men with their weird heads and their staffs, and they were talking real loud and saying hello to their friend. Masky and Elise told me that they were real bad. So I fired a big metal tube that the big coat men gave me, and the whole roof collapsed, and all the weird men were crying and running. And then these really big gribblers appeared, and they started running at us holding swords and whips, and we got into it again. Ms.Elise got cut real bad and her arm fell off, and she got so red I thought she might pop. And then it got real quiet, and everyone stood still. Their weapons were still up and everything, but they all froze, and I shouted, "Oi! Why are you being lazy? There's gribblers!" And then the big, horrible, ugly thing floated up. It was all tentacles, and it had a big, wobbly brain, and it looked at me. And I could taste the smoky ham in my mouth, and I heard a voice saying, "They aren't your friends. Kill them." Well, I weren't having none of that, so I ran at him and thought, it's a big brain, and it said hurt your friends, so I have to give it a headache like I gave when I eat the glowy stuff. So I headbutted and punched it all over and over until I was wearing it like a hat, and it was screaming and hitting me with its tentacles, and all the other bugs got on me screaming and crying, and Ms.Elise and Masky and them other soldiers started moving and fighting again. I was busy getting out of the big brain thing when Elise fell over and Masky was putting a patch on her arm and slapping her face. So I ran over and grabbed him and said, "Who do you think you're slapping?" And he said he was helping Ms.Elise, so I let him go. Them big coat men was staring at me and talking to people, and one said to me all posh like, "Ogryn, you just killed a big brain thing, and you might have saved us all." He asked me what I want, and I said for Ms.Elise to have a new arm, and I wanted the brain thing to come with me so I can make it my friend, and I wanted Masky to stay with us, and I wanted lots of shinies and stickies for my armor, and Ms.Elise is to have a new coat and arm, and Masky's mask getting extra polish and stuff. There was 5 of them, and they all nodded, and they shook my hand and Masky's hand, and then they put a really big bomb on the mine and said we had to run. So I grabbed Ms.Elise and ran and grabbed the brain thing and ran out of the mine. I forgot her arm, though. And she says I don't have to feel bad, but I do. The big coatman took the brain from me and said I couldn't keep it. Oh, I nearly clobbered him until Ms.Elise said I couldn't take him with us. And I was crying and I was real sad like because I could still hear him talking in my head and saying stuff about my friends and I wouldn't tell him off and shout at him in my head. We had to spend a few weeks on a black ship so we could write all the things down what happened in the mine. Me and Masky got to talking and he told me about his home, Maccabeus. I hope I got it right. He said that the city was all bright colors, and that the Emperor kept him and his soldiers safe forever, and that the Emperor had kept Ms.Elise safe when his home went away, so that we can go and fight more battles. And I told him about my mama, and my sister, and Elise's husband and daughter, and he said they was with the God Emperor now, safe and warm, for all time. Ms.Elise and Masky did all the writing then, because no one but Brainy can read me handwriting. And then we left the world and was told that we had saved it from the Griblies, and all the people would be happy and safe forever. We are still with the Inquisitions, but they don't talk to us much. They're always in meetings, and that's so me and Masky and Elise play dice, and Masky says it ain't fair, 'cause Elise has a robot arm and can use it to throw dice of exactly how she needs to. But she tells me sometimes that she lets Masky win, 'cause a good captain doesn't take from her men. Whatever that means. Ms.Elise told me that we had to help them big coat men out a bit more until the Black Legion was in our system, or until a scan or summiter was finished. Oh, Masky gave me a present too. No, I couldn't keep Brainy, but Masky got his mouth bones for me and put it on my shoulder armor. And I still hear Brainy talking like. Ever since I was wearing them, I've had more and more dreams of my mama, and she says, come home, and I tell her, I am home, Mama. And she says, that's okay, my boy. And that's okay, 'cause Mama don't lie. And then she smiles and waves, and my sister, Erin, smiles and waves too. And I talk to him in my head in my sleep and tell him about Lurch and Masky and Ms.Elise and them Kriegers. And I thought that Brainy did that, but he sometimes tells me to hurt Masky and Ms.Elise. But I won't. Sometimes I hear Masky praying at night. He don't wear the mask, but when he does, I really see his face all cut up and it must have really hurt. And I hear him praying for Ms.Elise's daughter and husband and to be safe and warm. And I hear him asking for my mama and sister to be happy and at peace. And I hope they are. 'Cause I miss Erin, and I miss Lurch, me best mate, and I miss home, and I still miss Mama.